Henry is a toll booth collector working in the Buffalo area, visibly bored with his job. After his shift, he drives home, where he reunites with his wife, Debbie, who works as a nurse. Debbie is unhappy and urges Henry to talk about their deteriorating relationship. Later, Henry's friends Eddie Vibes and Joe stop by and ask him to fill in for Joe, who is sick, in an upcoming softball game. After a moment of hesitation, Henry agrees. Before the game, while driving, Eddie asks Henry to pull over at the Buffalo Savings Bank to withdraw some money. Dressed in uniforms, the three put on masks and head into the bank, while Henry waits behind the wheel. Their attempted robbery is foiled by security, and they flee the scene. Except for Henry, who is caught completely unaware of his friend's true intentions. Henry is taken to court. Refusing to betray his friends, he is sentenced by the judge to 3 years in prison for first-degree felony and robbery. While in prison, Henry meets his cellmate Max, and they become good friends. Max is a lifer who enjoys life in prison. Max questions Henry about what really happened, but Henry continues to deny any involvement in the bank robbery. Max, a former con man who dislikes the label, prefers to be called a confidence man. 6 months later, Debbie visits Henry in prison and tells him she has fallen in love with someone else and is now seeing that person. With a smile on his face, Henry tells her he's happy she has moved on. 1 year later, while sharing his past with other inmates, it's revealed that Max had served 23 years with no hope or intention of ever leaving prison. After serving his sentence, Henry is released from prison. Unsure of what to do next, he visits Debbie's home and finds her pregnant and now married to his old friend Joe. Joe offers Henry a job as a distributor for his new kitchenware plastic company. Before Henry leaves, Joe thanks him for not ratting him out. The following morning, Henry returns to the bank where he was arrested. While crossing the street, he is hit by a car. The driver, named Julie, gets out to check on him and scolds him for not watching where he was going, but Henry assures her it's okay. With the help of Frank, the bank's security officer, Henry is taken to a nearby cafe. While chatting, Henry tells Julie that her face looks familiar. She responds that he might recognize her from lottery commercials. Later, while in the washroom, Henry learns about a secret tunnel that runs from the Orpheum Theater to the Buffalo Savings Bank, once used to evade prohibition authorities. This revelation gives him second thoughts. The following morning, Henry visits Max in prison and asks for his help to rob the bank he didn't rob the first time. He also encourages Max to apply for parole again. The next day, Henry goes to the theater and finds Julie in the middle of rehearsals. Julie clearly dislikes her producer, Derek, who constantly criticizes her for not sticking to the script. While at the cafe, Julie tells Henry that she'll be leaving Buffalo right after the Cherry Orchard play. Before parting, she thanks him for not reporting the accident to the police. The next day, the parole board grants Max his release. Henry picks him up and takes him straight to the restaurant restroom, where he had previously seen the tunnel plans. Henry tells Max that they must pull off the job without using a gun. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt. Max agrees, but insists they first visit the bank so he can examine the interior layout and locate the vault. While they're navigating the tunnel's path, Julie suddenly appears, coming out of the back door of the theater. Henry introduces Max to Julie, and Max convinces her to let them visit the theater by claiming he used to be an actor who once performed there. While inside with the help of Simon, Max tours the theater's basement and locates the position of the tunnel, which had been sealed off in 1931. Back with Henry, he reveals to Julie that he's recently been released from prison and is currently unemployed. Before leaving, he asks her out on a dinner date. During the date, Julie asks Henry why he went to jail. Henry opens up, explaining that he was imprisoned for an attempted robbery of the Buffalo Savings Bank, and now he's planning to actually rob it using the tunnel from the Orpheum Theater. That night, Henry and Julie share an intimate moment. The next morning, Henry meets up with Max, who excitedly shouts that the depth of the tunnel reaches all the way to the bank's roof. Unaware that Julie is within earshot, Henry quickly tells him that Julie already knows, as he's shared everything with her. Max is disappointed and scolds Henry for revealing their criminal plan to Julie. After lunch, they return to the theater with Julie, where Max comes up with a new idea. He convinces Henry to join the play as an actor, giving them full access to the theater at all times. Max then approaches Julie and persuades her to give Henry a role in the Chekhov play. Julie is skeptical, wondering how Henry could possibly manage it since he's not an actor. Henry agrees to join the play and, Under the constant direction of director Derek, he quickly improves and performs surprisingly well. That night, he and Julie share another passionate moment. The next day at the theater, Max and Henry break into the tunnel entrance, only to find it sealed shut. Henry suggests bringing in someone else to help with excavating the sealed tunnel. He meets with Joe, who reveals he's facing financial hardships after the failure of his kitchenware company and is now struggling to support his family. Henry then recruits him to join the team. In the days that follow, the team is seen at the theater digging through the sealed tunnel to gain access to the Buffalo Savings Bank vault. At the same time, Henry begins excelling in the Chekhov play. One day, while walking through the alley behind the theater, the bank's security guard, Frank, approaches them and reveals that he knows about their plan to rob the bank. Frank tells them that once a month, a truck collects currency from all the partner banks and delivers it to the main bank, resulting in an average of $8 to $12 million being stored temporarily in the vault. He offers to be their inside man and provide updates on the schedule. Max suspects it might be a setup and questions Frank on why he would help them rob the very bank he works for. Frank explains that he's worked at the bank for 30 years, but when his wife fell seriously ill a few years ago, the bank refused to help. The manager ignored his calls and he was forced to spend all their savings. His wife eventually passed away, leaving him with nothing. He then reveals that the money truck will arrive on the 23rd and the cash will be dropped off at midnight. While at home, a drunken Joe shows up with Eddie. Eddie reveals that Joe told him about their plan to rob the bank and insists they need another partner to help dig toward the vault. He also thanks Henry for not ratting him out in the past. The group soon learns that the theater will be reopening soon, leaving them with very little time to complete the job. Henry becomes worried about leaving Julie behind and tells Max he can't go through with it. Max reassures him, reminding him that they're close to making millions. Back home, Henry tells Julie that they plan to rob the bank on the theater's opening night, which is just 2 days away. To Julie, his words feel like a hot knife piercing her heart, leaving her visibly agitated. Henry tells Julie they can meet in California after everything is over, but she becomes furious, accusing him of sabotaging her play and dragging her into a crime. She throws him out, left behind in pain and disbelief. On the day of the show, Julie shoots Henry a bitter glance before the performance begins. At the bank, the truck delivers the money, and Frank sends a green light to Max before cutting the vault's security wires. Meanwhile, Joe and Eddie finish digging into the vault, reaching the cash and beginning to pack it up, just as Henry performs his role on stage. After packing the money, Eddie double-crosses the group by pulling out a gun and ordering Joe to take the cash to the van. Joe refuses and grabs Eddie's hand, causing the gun to go off, accidentally shooting Henry in the leg. Max rushes in, lands a few hard punches on Eddie, and manages to disarm him. They load the cash and drive off, but along the way, Henry tells Joe to stop the car. Despite his injury, he runs back to the theater to finish his part in the play, weighed down by the guilt of sabotaging Julie's future. He jumps on stage and, in front of the audience, tells Julie he couldn't leave without first telling her how much he loves her. He came back for her and asked her to meet him in Moscow. Thanks for watching.